Yeah, I want to take a couple of minutes really taking a look at national savings and investments to give you a bit of an understanding of what they're about and what kind of questions might crop up in the exam. As you can appreciate, there's the logo, National Savings Investments, run by the government. Not a lot of people know that, but they have been since the 19th century. In fact, Gladstone, who I studied when I was at college, he created national savings and said that everybody in the country should be walking distance from a post office where they could save their pennies. And I remember as a kid going down to the post office, putting my money in a national savings account. So they're run by the government purely for the purposes of raising money for the exchequer. And as you can appreciate from this graph, there's an awful lot of money the government needs to raise. This graph's quite illustrative of the amount of public debt that the government has. 1995, as you can see there, just over the 200 billion mark. And last year, 2017, we were dipping at the 1.8 billion. That's a huge amount of money. And as you can appreciate, since the financial crisis, it's accelerated out of all proportion. And the government's just trying to get the hang of it. But the point is that not all of that is financed by government gilts. Much of that is also financed by national savings. And we can take a quick look at the proportion by taking a look at this graph as well, which is quite a nice little neat graph, actually. Okay, it's 2011, so it's a couple of years old, but it kind of indicates the proportion of countries' debt and where the debt is held. Now you see Japan comes in at number 1, nothing to be proud of, by the way, and we're number 2. As you can appreciate, we do have quite a high percentage of GDP. GDP is gross domestic product. That's the total of all transactions in the economy. So although the United States is down there at number 8, I think it is, it's actually a percentage of GDP. That's really where it comes from. So we got a really big percentage of GDP of our debt. But you can see there by the pale blue colour, 98 is, or 98 as a percentage, is held by households. So that's your national savings. The 109 is non-financial corporations, so that's other in companies that hold government debt. Dark blue there is financial institutions who hold government debt, and other governments around the world who hold our government debt as well. But the pale one is households. Okay, a lot of households own gilts, I get that, but not that many. The vast majority of that is in national savings. So it's quite an important way of the government raising money for the exchequer to fund its debt, which is what it's all about. Okay, that's enough of the background. Let's take a look at the products. Now, you probably downloaded the latest summary of the products which National Savings and Investments issue. It's quite a nice little colour, little summary, if you like, of key points of the products. So what I want to do is just run through them with you briefly, just to pick up some key points to help you with the exam questions that you will probably get. So I've broken it down, and as you can see, I've blown up the first 4 here. Hopefully you can just about make it up. It depends what device you're watching this video on. The first one is probably one of the oldest ones, the premium bonds. Now, premium bonds have been going on for decades. I remember getting some of these when I was born. I can't remember when I was born, but people gave me these when I was born. I think I've lost them ever since. I haven't won a bean. But the point about premium bonds is that the percentage, as you can see there, goes into a pot. And people win money, win prizes according to being drawn out of a lot, effectively. So the percentage puts money into a big pot, and that pot is then divided up in prizes. You can have a minimum of £100, maximum of £50,000. So quite a lot can go into these things. And the whole point is, once it's paid out, any prizes are tax-free. And that's always a question in the exam, the tax-free nature of a premium bond. Other than that, they're pure risks. Well, not really a risk. You don't risk your original capital, do you? You just may not get a lot of return. Then you've got the investment guaranteed growth bond, which is a pretty competitive product. This one does what it says there. It gives you a guaranteed rate of interest, 2.2%. Don't worry about the interest rates. You never get tested on those. But this is gross as well, so it pays gross. So you'd be liable to pay tax, although the personal allowance allows you to get a whole load of interest tax-free nowadays anyway. Maximum £3,000 per issue. You may get asked that question. I highly doubt it. But the whole point is this is gross and it's guaranteed. And it's guaranteed for 3 years. The direct ISA, not a lot different to other companies' ISAs, really, other banks and building societies. Not a particularly good rate, but again, we're not worried about rates. It's tax-free, of course. £20,000 is the current limit, but you need to be looking at that according to when you're watching this video. Then you've got the Direct Saver. The Direct Saver literally is just a simple account which people invest £1 up to 2 million if you want it. and it just pays a very small rate of interest gross. This is the account that's been going on for quite a while as well. Flick it down the list there, you've got the income bond. Now the income bond is particularly popular. This one's been available for many, many years now. It pays an income monthly. It pays 3/4%, which is not a lot, but it's gross, so you're liable to tax on that one. And it's pretty much that really, just pays a monthly income, not much more to it than that. Now the children's bond is interesting. This one pays tax-free interest for children. There are limits to the number of issues you can have for each child. I remember my kids, when they were born, we opened up children's bonds for them, still got them, and they're coming out now when they're getting older now. They're using it for university funding, etc. It's a pretty useful account. Then you've got the investment account, which is probably the oldest one on the books, really. Not a lot of rate of interest, really. It's gross. Quite a lot of money per person if you wanted to. It's done by post now. You don't go into the post office and deal with these anymore. It's all done by online or via the post. Then oddly enough, you've got a couple of other products really which are not applicable at the moment. They haven't actually issued any. The first two are the growth bonds. These are for 65 years or older people, guaranteed growth bonds, and then you've got the guaranteed growth bonds for everybody as well. You won't get tested on these because they haven't got any going at the moment, but they literally just have a guaranteed rate of return for over 65. They were very popular a couple of years ago when they were issued. Now you've got the ones where legacy questions may crop up. A guaranteed income bond, again, is not available, but this provides an income. But it's the savings certificates that I'm more concerned about, really. These have been in the past very popular and heavily tested as well. The whole point about the savings certificate is they're tax-free. So for higher rate taxpayers and additional rate taxpayers, they were particularly advantageous. And they gave a really good rate of return, actually, and allowed quite a maximum investment. Much better return than banks or building societies. They were designed to be held for a period of time. You get 3 years or 5 years, and to cash them in early, you wouldn't have received all of your return at all. Now the fixed interest savings certificates were really good. That provided a fixed interest. The index link ones were fabulous. It provided a rate of return on top of the RPI over a period of years. So they were really, really, really good, popular products, but so popular they're not available. So there's a bit of an overview for you of the current national savings and investment products that are on the market. Hope you found that useful.